Hey everyone, it's Heather Nichols for Tailored Expressions. Today I'm sharing a set of cards that I created with the Petal Party collection. This collection also coordinates with a few of our calendar crafting products. I'm using the Petal Party layering stencil set, which includes 4 stencils that create 6 different designs. The Petal Party die set creates florals to coordinate with the layering stencil. I'll also be using the All Planned Out 4 die set, the All Together Occasions 2 stamp set and coordinating die, the Swiss Dots embossing folder. For ink, I'm using Peaches and Cream, Sweet Potato Pie, Macaron, Dried Fig, Tiki Mule, Sour Gummy, Pear, Sweet Basil, and Nocturne VersaFine Clair. For stenciling and blending, I'm using a variety of blender brushes, pixie spray to hold my stencils in place, burlap twine, chocolate truffle liquid watercolor, Dr. P.H. Martin's bleed-proof white ink, and a water brush for splattering, bits and pieces, white glossy rhinestones, foam adhesive and a liquid adhesive, and a few panels from the landscape desk calendar. I'm starting off stenciling the floral designs with the Petal Party layering stencil set. I spray the back of my stencils with pixie spray to hold them in place, and then I'm lining up that first stencil on a 8.5 by 11 piece of Toffee cardstock. I'm starting off this first layer with Peaches and Cream ink. I'll use my blender brush to apply the ink through the stencil, moving my blender brush in both a clockwise and counterclockwise direction. Doing this ensures good ink coverage in all of the stencil openings. Next, I'll use Sweet Potato Pie ink to add a bit of shading to my stenciled images. I'm going around the outside of the flowers that have petals that go all the way around, and then I'm doing just the base of the flowers that are more tulip shaped. Now I'll take that first stencil off and add stencil number 2, lining the stencil up using the square guides on the outside edges of the designs. I'm stenciling this second layer first with Macaron ink, and then adding shading with Dried Fig ink. I'll remove stencil number 2 and then we'll move on to stencil number 3. I'm starting off stenciling with Pear ink on stencil number 3 and then add shading to the bases of the leaves with Sweet Basil ink. I'll remove stencil number 3 and then we'll move on to our fourth and final layer. For this last layer, I'm using Tiki Mule as my first color, and I'll add shading to this layer with Sour Gummy ink. Removing that last stencil reveals those completed designs that we can use on our projects. Of course, I had to add splatters using chocolate truffle liquid watercolor and Dr. P.H. Martin's bleed-proof white ink. I used my paper trimmer to cut apart the images to make them a more manageable size for my die cut machine. I used the square from the All Planned Out 4 die collection to cut out all 6 of the flower designs. I cut out 6 of the scalloped square from Latte cardstock. For the card backgrounds, I cut out the stitched rectangle from Toffee cardstock and then embossed it with the Swiss Dots embossing folder. Next, I used the Petal Party die set to create flowers to use on my cards. I cut out the stems and leaves from Pear cardstock and cut out flowers from Macaron and Tiki Mule cardstock. I added shading to the stems and leaves with Sweet Basil ink. I used Sour Gummy ink to add shading to the Tiki Mule flowers, and then I used Dried Fig ink to add shading to the Macaron flowers. I used a liquid adhesive, my favorite is Multimedia Matte, to adhere the flowers to the stems. Next, I stamped the sentiments for my cards with the All Together Occasions 2 stamp. I stamped them with my Misty using Nocturne VersaFine Clair ink onto sugar cube cardstock. Then I cut out the sentiments all at the same time using the coordinating die. I'm picking 3 of the sentiments to add to tags that are cut out with the All Planned Out 4 die set from sugar cube cardstock. Now let's put these cards together. I'm adding the embossed toffee background to an A2 size piece of Latte cardstock for each card. And I'm adding all of the floral designs to the Latte scalloped squares. I picked 3 of the designs to use on my cards and added those with thin foam tape to the embossed panels. Then I added the 3 sentiments that I picked to the little tags. I tied a bit of burlap twine through the holes on each of the little tags. Off camera, I adhered the die cut flowers to each of the cards, and I adhered the little tags right over the top of those. Finally, I added bits and pieces white glossy rhinestones to the centers of the blue flowers and also scattered around the flowers. I adhered them in place with a liquid adhesive using my Embelly Jelly pick and place tool. To finish the cards, I added each panel to an A2 size sugar cube card base. For my 3 remaining designs, I'm adding those to panels from the landscape desk calendar. I adhered each of them with thin foam adhesive. Then I added bits and pieces white glossy rhinestones just like I did on the cards, for the centers on the blue flowers and then scattered around the flowers. My cards and calendar panels are done. Here's a closer look at each of the designs. I love that with the Petal Party collection, you can create so many designs at one time, making it perfect for mass production card making, and it makes creating designs for your calendar crafting so easy. Here's a peek at what the calendars look like in the wooden display block. You can find all of the supplies that I used on my projects at the Tailored Expressions web store at tailoredexpressions.com. Thanks so much for joining me today, and don't forget to like and subscribe so you don't miss any of our crafty videos.